that's the work that I do with my clients, like imagination, and to really tapping into what you want it to be like, so you don't have to run and execute and do extra things when you know and you're tapped into your mind like a vision board of what it is that you want to do. Spend less time being and more time, I'm sorry, more time being and less time doing, when you can articulate it in your mind. And sometimes people have a hard time tapping into that imagination and what they want that to see. But if practicing it really helps, and you really sit down and you visualize what it is that you want to see, and then you put that on paper, and the to-do list becomes some type of great intentional work for yourself, because I've envisioned it completely. I see what I want. I know what I want. And a lot of times we can ask people what they want, but a lot of times people will be able to tell you what they don't want before they can tell you what they do want. I know I don't want that. Okay, but what would you like instead? How would you like it to see it? How do you want to feel? How will you feel about it when this thing can be transformed into something else? And then if we can start to see it vividly in our minds, the work is done. We put it on paper and we've navigated it beautifully. So to-do list, absolutely, I hear you with that. It's to-be list. What do I want to embody in my life? What do I want to spend more energy with? What do I want to love a little deeper? What do I want to do? And then just scratch off the other stuff. You don't have to sweep today.
And two, I just kind of want to piggyback on that. Like a million things go through my mind. And Sara Smiled, I love you because your energy is everything. And I hope that this also gets me to the point, because the reality of it is, man, and this is just Troy. Y'all can rip me apart, but I just don't see how we're never not living in our purpose. Now, again, whether you're joyful about it or you've been, because again, to your point, Sara Smiled, life is this experience that we're able to go through and feel like, and again, it doesn't mean ideally I want it to always feel good, right? But what I've learned, even from the standpoint of me defining something that feels good, I've gone into situations where I've never felt it before and I didn't know what it felt like. But needless to say, we're always operating in our purpose. And so, using you as the example, you were not sober 8 years ago, right? And
No.
Right, like so 8 years ago, you were not sober, right?
Oh yeah, 10 years ago, I was on a park bench with my dog. Like,
right,
just to put into perspective.
right. Now, and again, that's very important perspective, right? And so, depending on who you're talking to or who's witnessing your story, like we are in this moment, I could easily say you had to be addicted in order to be here to make me smile today. Like you had to go through.
That's the best thing that ever happened to me.
No, I'm just saying again. I'm not, and I'm not saying this in the means to justify you going down the path that you didn't recognize the benefit of it later, because when we're in things we don't always know. But that's the reason why I'm saying that we're always in our purpose, because ultimately where you end up, we never know. And the reality of it is, even 10 years ago, I don't think that if you go to 10 years before that, you could have imagined yourself sitting on the porch with your dog. And so it's funny that not recognizing that we're always in our purpose also helps us not feel what we're supposed to feel in every moment in order to get what we're supposed to get out of it. And so, that's just, again, me thinking this through as we're talking about it. And that's the reason why grace is so important. It does not look like what I thought this was going to look like. When I start smoking weed, I never think that I'm going to be high one day and I cannot move. I just never think that until the day when I cannot move. And then I'm like, well, maybe this ain't what I wanted. But the reality of it is, I can come back later and say, hey, guys, if you're going to do this, know that this is a possibility. And my purpose could have been bringing this to somebody else so that way they can learn from it. Not only that, giving my voice the emotion and attention that it needs to convey it in a way that people can receive it. So the grace does apply heavily. But go ahead.
Yeah. This is a beautiful conversation because it's becoming a conversation of really that is what grace is, like just not being so hard on yourself, like looking on yourself with love, looking on your actions with love, no matter what they are. And earlier, Sarah has said something about not about knowing how a lot of people they know what they don't want instead of knowing what they want. And what I found with that is they really know what they want. They're just kind of scared of it because they put so much weight on it. They don't want it to be like everything else, and they don't want to have to feel like they have to go through something to get it, or I don't know. We believe in messing up. Like there's no mess ups. You are here to just be and explore and try stuff out. Like that's the beauty of it. Like if you go to a restaurant and order something and it's nasty, you can order something else. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be a big deal or anything. Like we make things greater than they are. We shouldn't, and we shouldn't be afraid to go after what we want just for the sake of we want it.
Right.
Look, let me give you this real quick, bro. And this is the truth, at least the way that I'm envisioning it in my head right now. Right now to this day, I've helped more people because of my mistakes than I have for the stuff that I've celebrated. Right now to this day, I've been able to help more people from mistakes that I've had than people from stuff that I've experienced that I've been exuberated by in the moments. And so when you really think about that, and if I'm thinking about a purpose, my own purpose, and how I feel about stuff, that's me being intentional. I want to help everybody, right? But more from what I've had mistakes on than anything. But go ahead.
Oh man. Ooh, I feel it. Like that's I recognize now every mistake that I would perceive to whatever was like the greatest lesson, because I've helped so many people who have just not known anybody that had that experience. They were looking for the connection between two people that they could really feel had been through that. And I didn't have to, because I've also worked through needing to give them advice. If they asked for it, I was able to give them the most beautiful advice, and they come for it. Like, and sometimes being raw about the mistakes that we make is so beautiful. Like, people are wanting somebody to walk with on the path. So being very transparent, like, I feel you on that. Like, I too have, and it has all been so beautiful. I recognize each one along the way, and I see, oh, there's the hiccup, boop, boop. Oh, there's the blessing. Oh, there's the hiccup, boop, boop. Sometimes, we go back and we hit the bumper cars a few more times.
Yeah.
It's just shining it up, right? It's like the iron sharpens the iron, and it just makes it where we need to be.
That's so powerful and so true. Like, even today. So I told you I played basketball before this, and before the game, like, someone was talking to me about he had back pain and knee pain, and I had told him, I was like, man, I used to too in my like 20s, which I thought was crazy. So I ended up like changing my walk, how I run and everything. And we were talking about like how some people, when they run, like they slam their foot on the floor, or they might strike their heel and it reverberates up and all these other things. And we were just talking about it, and I forgot about it. And so then after, we played a couple games, and after I had played my game and sat down, he ran up to me.